Youth is overrated. I know you think what I just said is BS, but I promise you this isn't clickbait, so just hear me out. I'm not going to deny that there are some advantages to youth. More energy, faster recovery, fewer aches and pains. These are all fantastic things, but when you really dig deeper, underneath it all is a glaring disadvantage. Youth is overrated because for many of us, it hid our poor habits and created the illusion that we had a strong foundation. Aging, on the other hand, exposes the cracks in that foundation. It brings our weaknesses to the forefront. It forces us to focus on the things that matter. It wasn't long ago that this realization struck me like a lightning bolt. Once I understood it, I gained a whole new perspective on life, aging, and what's actually possible as we get older. It rewired my brain to stop looking at aging as a disadvantage and instead recognize all the advantages that it actually provides. I'm going to go over why youth is overrated and why aging is actually an advantage. The first crack in my foundation that aging exposed for me was nutrition. When I was young, I could get away with a whole lot of nonsense. I could eat heavily processed junk and not gain a pound. I could drink more than I should. I could stay up late. And somehow, I still managed to function. Youth creates this illusion that our bad habits aren't really costing us anything. But eventually, the bill comes due. For me, that bill was paid by gaining weight, losing muscle, and suffering from pain due to chronic inflammation. With age, I realized that good nutrition is critical if I want to function at a high level. When I decided to drastically reduce my processed food intake and I stopped drinking alcohol, the results were pretty shocking. I lost 7 inches off my waist, my energy levels shot up, my chronic inflammation went away, my persistent pain disappeared, I slept better, I recovered faster, my stress management improved. I just felt better. Proper nutrition gave me a rock-solid foundation that I could actually build something on. The next thing aging exposed was how much of my life I wasted trying to make everyone happy. I didn't really see why this was a problem when I was younger. I thought I was just being a good person by focusing on being nice, being helpful, being agreeable. But in reality, it was something else. I cared too much about what other people thought. I wanted approval. I wanted acceptance. I wanted everybody to be happy with me. I think a lot of people are like that. The problem is that it's an impossible game to win. At some point, I realized that every time I said yes to something I really didn't want to, I was saying no to something I actually valued. My health, my family, my goals, my peace of mind. Aging gave me something I didn't have before. Perspective. And with that perspective came the ability to say no. I don't say no out of selfishness because I am still a nice person. The difference is now I just don't let people take advantage of my kindness. Another illusion that youth gave me was that I had unlimited time. I'll get serious someday. I'll start that project someday. I'll pursue that goal someday. I just kept kicking the can down the road. And before I knew it, I spent a decade thinking about something instead of doing it. One of the greatest gifts aging has given me is an awareness that time is valuable. Not in a depressing way, but in an empowering way. Because once you realize time is finite, you start treating it differently. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop expecting overnight results. You become willing to play the long game. You start to find patience. I've learned that almost everything worthwhile grows slowly. My health, my relationships, financial freedom, my faith, a YouTube channel. The people who succeed aren't always the most talented. They're usually the people who stay consistent the longest. Another crack in the foundation that aging exposed was that I wasn't entirely sure who I was. When you're younger, you tend to try to pursue other people's definitions of success. You chase things because everyone is chasing it. But eventually you start asking questions. What do I actually value? What kind of life do I actually want? What matters enough that I'm willing to dedicate years to it? For me, the answers became clear. Health, relationships, experiences, faith. These are the things that drive almost every major decision I make today. And life gets a lot simpler when you know what matters. Because you stop chasing everything and start building something meaningful. That clarity completely changed how I approach fitness. When I was younger, fitness was mostly about performance. Looking good, running faster, lifting more. These things are still great, but now I'm after something bigger. Health span. I want to maximize my health span. Health span is different than longevity. Of course, I want to live a long life, but I don't just want more years. I want quality years. I want to remain athletic, strong, mobile, flexible, capable. I want to be the guy hiking mountains, sprinting hills, and enjoying life decades from now. Aging shifted my focus from short-term performance to long-term capability. And I think that's a much better target. It also taught me something that younger me didn't understand. Recovery is not optional. When I was younger, the answer was always push harder, do more, train more, work more. But eventually I learned a lesson. Progress isn't created by hard work alone. It's created by hard work followed by recovery. Now I pay attention. I listen to my body. I prioritize sleep so I can recover and be ready for the hard things I need to do to keep progressing. Sure, I could work endlessly when I was younger and somewhat get away with it, but aging doesn't allow me to do that, and ironically, I'm making better progress because of it. And that brings me to the biggest realization of all. For years, I thought youth was the advantage. Now I think awareness is the advantage. Knowing yourself is the advantage. Understanding your values is the advantage. Being intentional is the advantage. Consistency is the advantage. Youth gave me potential, but potential alone doesn't accomplish much. Today I have something more valuable. I know what matters. I know what works. I know what gets me closer to becoming the person I want to be. And because of that, I truly believe I'm just scratching the surface of what's possible. Not because I expect life to get easier, but because I finally understand how to build it. That's why I'm excited about the future. That's why I no longer fear aging and now embrace it. And that's why I think youth is overrated. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe so you can hear more from me in the future. I'll talk to you in the next one.